Jeremy Roenick is a name that needs no introduction in the world of professional ice hockey. As one of the most prominent and talented players of his generation, it's impossible to ignore Roenick's impact on the sport. More than 500 goals, a silver medal, and over 1,200 points during a 20-year NHL career. But while numbers like those normally get players inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame, such has not been the case for Jeremy Roenick. After making his debut with the Chicago Blackhawks as a teenager, Roenick thrilled fans with his flashy style, take-no-prisoners approach, and jaw-dropping skills. His competitive fire was unmatched and showed best through conflicted and often painful relationships with hockey peers Tony Amonte, Darian Hatcher, and Mike Modano. However, Roenick's high-intensity persona extended off the ice, resulting in a series of controversial events that have often overshadowed his on-ice achievements. Early life. Jeremy Roenick was born in Boston, Massachusetts, on January 17, 1970. His family moved a lot because of his dad's job at Mobil Oil. When Jeremy was just 14, his parents sent him on a plane every Friday from Virginia to New Jersey so he could play hockey for the New Jersey Rockets. He was really good and played alongside another talented kid, Mike Modano. Later, Jeremy went back to Massachusetts and went to Thayer Academy near Boston. He played with future NHL star Tony Amonte and got noticed by NHL teams by scoring a lot of points in prep school games. People were worried that Jeremy's stats were only good because he played against weaker teams and he wasn't very heavy, weighing around 150 pounds. But after an amazing performance in the 1987 World Junior Championships, the Chicago Blackhawks drafted him in 1988. Mike Modano was picked before him, and Tony Amonte, Jeremy's buddy, was also drafted. Even though Jeremy started college at Boston College, he left after just one class. Instead, he signed a contract with the Chicago Blackhawks for 3 seasons, plus a bonus. After a good training camp, he played a few NHL games, but he wasn't fully ready, so the Blackhawks sent him to play in the Quebec Junior Hockey League's Hull Olympiques, a team owned by Wayne Gretzky. Jeremy did great there, scoring a lot of points. He even played for Team USA in the 1989 World Junior Championships. After that, he returned to Hull, but because of injuries on the Chicago team, he got a last-minute call to play a game in Minnesota on February 14, 1989. Even though the Blackhawks didn't have time to put his name on the jersey, Jeremy, wearing number 27, scored his first NHL goal in a Blackhawks win with a cool pass.
Here's the shot, they score! Oh, a misplay by Kerry Taco and the first NHL goal for Jeremy Roenick. The puck came off the end boards and Roenick...
The puck bounced off the end boards, and Roenick, noticing Taco's error, quickly worked to the net and easily banged it in. Chicago led 1-0. The teenage Roenick scored at a point-per-game pace to close out the regular season, earning the respect of his teammates. In a playoff game against the St. Louis Blues on April 26, 1989, Roenick went through something terrible. In the first period, he was accidentally cut on the nose by Steve Larmer's skate, needing 15 stitches. Then, in the second period, he was cross-checked in the mouth by Blues defenseman Glenn Featherstone, losing 4 teeth. Despite these injuries, Roenick returned to action and scored the game-winning goal, eliminating the Blues from the playoffs. In the 1989-90 season, Roenick's first full NHL season, he compiled 66 points. He took a big leap in the 1990 postseason, with 11 goals in 20 games as the Blackhawks advanced to the conference finals. By this point, Roenick had become an aggressive, agitating player, flying around the ice, delivering punishing hits, and scrapping with bigger foes. Roenick attributes his style to head coach Iron Mike Keenan, known by some as the most hated coach of all time. In his 2012 book, Roenick expressed love for Keenan, calling him a father figure who nurtured his game through tough love. Playing in a line with Michel Goulet and Steve Larmer, Roenick collected 94 points in 1991 and played in his first NHL All-Star game. This was a special game for Roenick, as it took place at Chicago Stadium. The Chicago Blackhawks, with the best record, couldn't make it far in the 1991-92 playoffs. They added more great players like Brent Sutter, Steve Smith, Brian Marchman, and Brad Lauer to their team. Jeremy Roenick had a great season, getting 103 points, and on March 7, 1992, he scored his 50th goal in his hometown. In the playoffs, Roenick was on fire, scoring 12 goals in 18 games, helping the Blackhawks reach the Stanley Cup Finals, but they couldn't beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. But things things changed when coach Iron Mike Keenan became just the GM, and in 1992, owner Bill Wirtz fired Keenan. Roenick was upset. Despite delivering 2 more great seasons, Roenick admits his life off the ice got a bit out of control without Keenan's guidance. Chicago fans loved Roenick for his skill and personality. He won a humanitarian award in 1992-93 and scored a memorable overtime goal in the 1994 playoffs, the last at Chicago Stadium. In a video game called NHL Hockey 94, Roenick became famous as an unstoppable character. He faced injuries, but continued to perform well. In 1996, there was a disagreement with the Blackhawks, and Roenick was traded to the Phoenix Coyotes. He agreed to a good contract and became a key player for the Coyotes, promoting hockey in Phoenix. Over the next 5 years, Roenick consistently scored points for the Coyotes, but financial issues and playoff challenges persisted. Jeremy Roenick continued to play on the edge, and he faced consequences for his aggressive style. In the 1998-99 season, playing for the Phoenix Coyotes against the Dallas Stars, he delivered a borderline hit on longtime rival Mike Modano. The Stars sought revenge, and in the next game, Roenick faced retaliation. Craig Ludwig slashed his thumb, breaking it in 2 places, and Darian Hatcher threw a high elbow, breaking Roenick's jaw in 4 places. These injuries didn't stop him. Roenick stayed in the game, took another shift, but had to be rushed to the hospital after another hit. Just 19 days after major jaw reconstruction surgery, Roenick returned to play in Game 7 of the playoff series against St. Louis, playing 26 minutes in the Coyotes' overtime loss. During his time with the Coyotes, Roenick's family life suffered due to his self-centered and undisciplined behavior, as he mentions in his autobiography. Rumors circulated about his eccentric and bizarre actions. The tension reached a peak in October 1999 when Roenick, enraged and embarrassed, slashed his longtime friend Tony Amonte in the face during a game against the Blackhawks. Roenick received a 5-game suspension, and although he and Amonte eventually reconciled, their friendship was never quite the same. In 2001-2002, the Coyotes underwent management changes, trading key players like Keith Tkachuk and Nikolai Khabibulin and letting Roenick leave in free agency. He signed a 5-year, $37.5 million contract with the Philadelphia Flyers. Before arriving in Philadelphia, Roenick contributed to Team USA's silver medal in the 2002 Olympics. Putting aside NHL grudges, his teammates on Team USA included Tony Amonte and Mike Modano. Roenick enjoyed 3 solid seasons in Philadelphia, but had an often acrimonious relationship with defensive-minded coach Ken Hitchcock. At this point, the NHL was deeply entrenched in the dead puck era, and Jeremy Roenick's performance, like that of many players, began to decline. Controversies continued to surround him. In his time with Philadelphia, on December 17, 2002, Roenick received a 2-game suspension for a crushing hit on Mike Modano. Unlike 3 years prior, the Stars did not retaliate, and Modano suffered a suspected concussion. In 2004, it was revealed that former NHL star Rick Toche, then an assistant coach of the Phoenix Coyotes, had financed an illegal sports betting ring. Roenick acknowledged paying over $100,000 to a Florida firm that sold betting tips to gamblers. Toche was suspended by the NHL for 2 years, but Roenick, who was not the target of the investigation, was not suspended or charged with a crime. The Toche fiasco was one of many interesting and mostly painful events that Roenick endured in 2003 and 2004. In January 2004, Jeremy Roenick faced a series of unfortunate events. He was hit in the face by a puck during practice, requiring 27 stitches. Soon after, he was twice high-sticked in a game in Buffalo with no penalty calls. Frustrated, Roenick threw a water bottle at referee Blaine Angus and went on an infamous post-game tirade, resulting in a 1-game suspension. He criticized the referees, exclaiming, "It's ridiculous. Wake up already. It's a joke. Wake up, NHL. Wake up. Referees are responsible for their actions too." Roenick's fortunes took a turn for the worse on February 8, 2004, during a game against the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Rangers player Boris Mironov blasted a slap shot that struck Roenick in the side of the face, resulting in 21 broken bones in his jaw and requiring major reconstructive surgery. He also suffered a severe concussion. Roenick returned to action late in the season, and the Flyers advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals but lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games. During this this playoff run, Roenick's line mates were Tony Amonte and Alexei Zhamnov, the player he was traded for years earlier. Despite suffering from concussion symptoms, Roenick continued to be a clutch player, as shown in his 2-goal performance in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Toronto Maple Leafs. As the NHL lockout wiped out the entire 2004-2005 season, players were not paid, except injured ones. Roenick, classified as an injured player due to his concussion symptoms, received compensation. His outspoken nature continued during the lockout, expressing his frustration with critics who called players spoiled, stating, "And everybody out there who says, 'Who calls us spoiled because we play a game? They can all kiss my ass.'" When NHL play resumed in 2005, the Philadelphia Flyers pursued free agent Peter Forsberg, but needed to shed cap space to reduce payroll. Jeremy Roenick was dealt to the LA Kings for a 3rd-round draft pick. Known for his showmanship, Roenick was seen as a perfect fit for LA. He made appearances on talk shows, had small acting roles, and aimed to bring Hollywood flair to the post-lockout NHL. However, Roenick, who had not worked out during the lockout, was 20 pounds overweight. Despite scoring twice in the first game with the Kings, he had a bad season, scoring just 9 goals and adding 13 assists. While Roenick was typically a fan favorite, LA was an exception. He wanted to redeem himself and return for another season, but coach Mark Crawford labeled him mentally weak and let him go. Roenick made a 1-year return to Arizona, playing for coach Wayne Gretzky and the Coyotes. However, it seemed he was brought in more for publicity, as he was relegated to the 4th line. Roenick had a testy relationship with Gretzky and endured another lackluster season. Heading into the 2006-2007 season, many, including Roenick, assumed his career was over. However, ex-teammate and San Jose Sharks GM Doug Wilson thought Roenick could be the perfect 3rd-line center on his rising team. Roenick accepted the offer, worked himself into shape, and enjoyed 2 solid seasons in San Jose. His stay was highlighted by reaching the 500-goal milestone on November 17, 2007. In the 2007-2008 season, Roenick scored 14 goals, 11 of which were game winners. He continued his clutch play with a 2-goal, 2-assist performance to eliminate the Calgary Flames in the 2008 playoffs, playing just 42 games in the injury-plagued 2008-2009 season. At 38 years old, Roenick had received over 600 stitches to his face, suffered 12 diagnosed concussions, broken every finger, and endured multiple shoulder and knee surgeries. Retirement. After a 20-year career, Jeremy Roenick retired with impressive stats: 513 goals, 703 assists, 1216 points, and 1463 penalty minutes. He added another 53 goals in the playoffs, played in 9 NHL All-Star games, and was elected to the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in 2010. In 2011, his number 97 was placed in the Arizona Coyotes Ring of Honor. In retirement, Roenick remained in the spotlight, finding success in the celebrity golf circuit and creating controversy as a hockey analyst for NBC. However, his TV career took a hit when NBC suspended him indefinitely in December 2019 for inappropriate comments about co-worker Catherine Tappan during a podcast interview. NBC fired Roenick after his suspension ended in February 2020. He filed a lawsuit against NBC Sports for wrongful termination in July 2020, but the case was eventually dismissed. Despite being considered a future Hall of Famer during his retirement in 2009, Roenick's induction into the Hockey Hall of Fame has not materialized. Is it justified, or is it a grave oversight? Some speculate that his outspoken nature, lack of championships or individual honors, many off-ice controversies, and sometimes dirty play may be factors hindering his Hall of Fame candidacy. Although Roenick holds great respect for hockey and its iconic figures, his name is no longer prominent in discussions about the Hall of Fame, even as other players with similar achievements receive that recognition. Does he belong in the hallowed grounds of the Hall of Fame? Let us know in the comments below.